Ready, Fritz? So with Mr. F, we are going to warm up with a bit of some recall. So I like to, in the beginning when doing recalls, start off in calmer or softer environments. I either let my puppy start to get a little distracted and then go again, Fritz, come, and then feed them for that lovely response. So if you're finding that your puppy does better sometimes with you getting them distracted, so you can also do where you might toss a little piece of food, help them go find it, and then when they come back to you, feed for that orientation. So even if you're not always on par with feeding or actually asking for the recall, I would recommend to mark the moment they do come to you. So if, let's say, for example, we warm up with some of these lovely tossings of the food. Fritz, ready? Come. Yes. So in the beginning, we might find that find its are a great way to get your puppy to move away from you. And then from there, Fritz, come. You can work these little recalls. If your pups tend to do pretty well with recalls in the house, but not as well outside, remember it does take a lot of repetitions and good generalization for your puppy to master recalls. I would also recommend that if recalls are very hard for your puppy, make sure the reinforcer is something your puppy actually finds valuable. If you're, for example, using food that has almost little to no value for the puppy and you're asking them to recall away from something they find very intriguing, which could be smells, other animals, potentially other dogs or people, remember you want to practice these recalls. Ready, Fritz, come. In a situation where you're going to be successful. If your babe can barely do this outside, I would highly recommend to start in the home to work it. So that way, when your babe is still not as refined and they don't quite understand the concept, you could simply even just warm up with them bouncing by finding the food and then coming back to you. Then as you're finding the behavior is becoming more and more reliable, then you can start to pair it with your slogan, which could either be a come or here or some other word that you've chosen as your recall word. So for Mr. F, we're just doing, again, some lovely find its. If he doesn't always see where the item got tossed, I might get his attention and start again. He's like, oh, there's one stuck on the floor, ready? So we'll go into that nice big find it. Fritz, come. Yes. If, let's say, my puppy did not respond with me saying his name and the recall, I would then go about half the distance to the puppy from wherever I first called him and try again. So this is where having a long line is really helpful, even in a fenced-in environment, because if your puppy can then play keep away, they might actually get really good at moving away from you and not actually coming when you'd like them to. So let's say, for example, Mr. F will pretend I said his name, I pretend I said the C word, and he didn't come running for the recall. What I would end up doing is walking down the line. So let's pretend he's off doing something off in the distance. I would then go about half the distance from where I first originally called him and try again from that spot and feed from there. If I completely lost him, so let's say his head might be in a chipmunk hole, maybe he's busy finding some bunny poo, whatever the distraction could be, I'd make it where, again, if he's non-responsive, don't say it over and over. So the more you say a cue or a word that you're using as a behavior, the problem there is it's losing its meaning. So try to only say it when you're about 90 to 80% certain the dog is going to be responsive. Otherwise, you might be wasting your breath, but also teaching the puppy that ignoring you could be more beneficial. So this is where, again, ready, Fritz? This is where having the long line is going to be really crucial because it would prevent Mr. F from being able to get too far away or get away in a situation where he could get hurt or injured. So having the long line is great for safety reasons. Ready, Fritz? Come. Yep, 1 second, I'll be right there. Nice.